Good morning and welcome to Sheffield University. I'm Will Stark and this is the coverage of the Big Walk 2017, where just now tens of people have just walked their way out to Sheffield University, all for the cause of getting the Sheffield scanner, raising £2 million to get that here at the Hallamshire Hospital. We're going to go and find out exactly what we're fundraising for today. So, as I was saying, plenty of people have just flooded out of here on the walk all the way around the peaks. We're seeing how far they can walk in 24 hours, all here to raise money for charity to get us a MRI PET scanner here at Sheffield University. It is being set up to help us develop a greater understanding of... Okay, and so now we're going to go over and find out all about the scanner and the details.
We want to build an MRI PET imaging facility that's compatible with the other facilities around the UK, so we can do the really important multi-centre studies the United Kingdom needs.
Rather than just using a positron emission tomography technique or PET technique and then having a patient scanned on a separate MRI scanner, we're going to scan them concurrently as these PET MRI scanners are being developed, where you can acquire both types of information at once. One of the really interesting things about all of the techniques that we use that are cutting edge are that they provide information not only about where the signal is coming from, in other words producing an image or a picture, but it also tells you about their function. And that's one of the big things that's being developed in the future in PET MR imaging. It is not only telling you all about anatomy, but it's telling you about physiology, especially when physiology goes wrong. Thereby we're able to monitor how well the patients are, how well their function is, and we can look for changes that occur over time, not only as the disease might progress, but also as their disease might go away once they've been introduced to new therapies.
Hello and welcome back to Sheffield University. As we were mentioning before, we managed to gather tens of people here to go off and walk around at, 7 o'clock in the morning. I have with me the ex-Pro Vice-Chancellor for Research, Richard Jones. Richard, why on earth are all these people walking away from Sheffield University?
Well, it's to raise money for this. It's a positron emission tomography, magnetic resonance imaging combined scanner. What that means, it's a brain scanner basically. It's going to allow us to do great new research to try and understand all those really difficult diseases that affect us in our old age. And of course, you know, we're all getting older. That's great news. The population's aging. That's really good. But it does mean the prevalence of these diseases like Alzheimer's, motor neurone disease, Parkinson's, all these very difficult diseases is getting greater. And you know, we're not really doing very well in finding cures for those diseases. And so this piece of equipment is going to be really important to help push that science forward. And you know, we're lucky in Sheffield. Dame Pam Shaw is a fantastic scientist, a great clinician. She heads up she heads up the whole medical faculty, but she heads up the Sheffield Institute for Translational Neuroscience Research, and that's got a great record in doing really clinically relevant research, trying to solve the difficult problems of motor neurone disease, really doing everything from the most basic science really to working with patients. So it's going to be a fantastic tool for our medical researchers. It's going to be great for patients in Sheffield and of course right across the country.
And so today's walk is helping with that by contributing, getting sponsorship, getting funds to go towards that scanner. Where would that scanner be based in Sheffield?
It's going to be based in the Hallamshire Hospital, or, you know, where it's going to be, you know, it's going to be jointly used by the University Medical School and the Hallamshire. So it'll be helping patients as well as helping research.
And so this is all centred around neurodegenerative disorders. Why have they become a lot more prevalent, and why are they kind of such a medical challenge at the moment as opposed to a number of years ago?
Yeah, I can't say neurodegenerative either, but neurodegenerative diseases, 7 o'clock in the morning. No, It is the simple fact we're getting older. I mean, they're diseases that seem to happen as we get older. No one's really sure. Even some of the basic causes people really don't understand. So I mean, the history of people trying to find cures to them, it's, you know, research is not going as quickly as we'd like, and that's why we need these new techniques that will give us a real window on what's going on in the brain. And that's really what this scanner is so good for. It allows you to see what's happening in the brain and what individual molecules are doing. You pick out individual molecules and you can see their location, so you're really getting down to the basic function of the brain and how that's affected in these diseases.
Well, thank you very much, Richard. Are you looking forward to the walk yourself?
Mostly. I think there may be some difficult moments.
So we're going to have a chat with a couple more people that are doing the walk today. I'm joined here with Melanie Rimmer. So you're a researcher here at the university, and you signed up for the big walk. Kind of what inspired you to do that?
I work in Sheffield, but I live much nearer to Manchester, and I commute more than 3 hours every day back and forth across the Pennines. And I look out of my windscreen at the distant hills and the scenery. And at first it seemed to me to be almost like a skybox in a video game like Mario Kart. You know, it's just a painted backdrop. It's not a real place you can go to. It just gives the illusion of movement. But as we started preparing for this big hike, I did a lot more walking in the hills. And so now when I look out of the windows at those hills, I know their names, I know what they look like up close, I know what you can see on the other side of them, and I know what obstacles you've got to face to get there. And it seemed to be much more like an open world game, like Skyrim, where you can actually go to these real places and explore them.
They're not all just things on the train that you can see, and see very appropriately you've got your ordnance survey round your neck, ready to tackle the route. How are you feeling about the walk today? Kind of, do you think you'll be able to conquer a good distance today?
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful route. It's so varied, and it reminds me of an epic quest, like in a fantasy novel like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. So there are parts that are bucolic countryside with farms and fields and little rivers, like around towns like Bakewell. And there are other parts where you're walking through the forest, and parts where you're on top of some of the bleakest, most desolate moors, like around Standage Pole, where you feel like you're at the end of the world. And then there's some magnificent stretches along some really epic, filmic scenery, like Standage Edge. It's really going to feel like an epic quest.
Fantastic. You certainly seem excited about it. And finally, we're just going to go over to Jost McGinder. And so, Jost, I believe that you're a PhD student here.
Yes, I'm a PhD student in astrophysics, and I came to Sheffield about a year and a half ago, participated for the first time in last year's big walk. And last year we were trying to raise funds for refugee students here at the university. And being a migrant myself from Germany, in case you couldn't tell by my accent, that was quite close to my heart. And I found that I very enjoyed the experience of going out into nature, walking, talking to other walkers. So I came back this year.
Fantastic. And so are you feeling like you're going to try and beat your distance from last year? Are you going to try and do better? Or do you reckon that it's... you're just going to try and match what you did before?
So last year the distance was just 18 miles. So I hope I will beat that, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we're sorry for having to delay you just a little bit, but I'm sure you can make it up. You do have quite a long time to do that. Well, thank you very much for tuning in while we've been here. Obviously, we'll have coverage coming out throughout the day via all of Sheffield University's social media reports. We're hoping to go live at some point this afternoon. So if you weren't up at 7:18 in the morning, I think we can forgive you, and we'll have a more conveniently timed live coming to you later on today.